Okay, all right. I'm Connie Fortunato. I live in Santa Cruz, California, but I work in Ukraine and Romania. Music Camp International is in its 14th year, and I've been working in Ukraine since 2003.
So, how it all began with Music Camp International?
I'm sorry?
How it all began? What was the beginning of your activity?
Okay. The idea of music camps was something that I did in the United States. I started actually in 1986. In 1990, after the fall of the Ceausescu regime, I became very interested in doing music therapy with orphans in Romania. I did that for several years, and a girlfriend of mine who knew of my work in music camps in the United States said, "You should do a music camp here." And I said, "Really? Do you think it would work?" And she said, "I know it would work." Then I wrote to a person that I knew was in Kiev, and I said, "I'm coming to Romania to do a music camp. I wonder, is that anything you'd be interested in Ukraine?" And she said, "Absolutely, you need to come here." So I came in 2002 and visited and decided to do a music camp, and we started in 2003, and it was very successful. I fell in love with Ukraine, I fell in love with the people, and I especially fell in love with the children. And I've been here ever since.
But can you describe your impression about Ukraine, what you like the most in our country, in our people?
I can, yes. Ukraine is, first of all, it's a very intelligent country, and I feel that the people are very eager to learn. I found the children very eager and very responsive. It's both a balance of need and finding, I found a society that I felt was very stratified, that a lot of children had opportunity, but then there was a huge number of children that didn't have opportunity. And the difference in the strata was something that really made me want to come here and work, because I believe so passionately that all children are talented. And I wanted all children to have the same opportunities to find their giftedness, to find their potential, to set high goals, to believe in the fact that each child has within themselves the opportunity for greatness. It takes hard work, it takes discipline, but it also takes adults who believe that and who are willing to encourage them and be there for them along the way. So it was that balance that I saw that really made me want to come. And when I found the children open up to that, it just was one of the greatest things.
You have worked out a unique method of teaching of children. Can you tell about this method? What is peculiarities of it?
Sure. My methodology and the way that I teach children has been largely impacted by two things. One is the work of a man by the name of Dr. Howard Gardner, who is at Harvard University in Boston, Massachusetts in the United States. Howard Gardner developed what he called the theory of multiple intelligences. And what that means is this. Howard Gardner says, when you look at a child and you say, "I wonder how smart this child is," you've asked the wrong question. If you ask the wrong question, you get the wrong answer every time. The question is not how smart is the child. The question is, how is the child smart? There are many ways to be smart. For example, we have brilliant athletes who probably would not be great scientists. We have great scientists who probably would never be the world's greatest musicians. There are many ways to be intelligent. And the job of a teacher is to really find out, where is this child's giftedness? How is this child smart? And when we do that, we help the child discover their own greatness and their own giftedness. So that's the first thing that impacted me very much. The second thing is the research that I've done on brain development in children, which again goes with that, and it shows the many different ways that children learn. They learn visually, they learn kinesthetically, they learn auditorily, they learn relationally, they learn in many different ways. They don't learn very much by lecture and by talking to them. They learn by doing, by experiencing, by being part of a dynamic and an interactive experience. So I've put those two things together, and that's really the foundation on which my methodology is built, is those two ideas coming together, and it impacts very much in the way I approached the child and the way I approach the rehearsal time in the class.
Truly impressed. You was named in 2014 Ambassador of Peace for Ukraine. So what is peace for you? What is the process of reconciliation?
That's a great question, because it was one of the greatest honors I've ever received. I believe in it passionately, and I believe there are things that we do that create peace. One is that I believe very much and integrate into my rehearsals a tremendous appreciation for diversity. It is very important to me that music camp is not a competition. I believe that the nature of competition means that the way that we get ahead is at the expense of someone else. And I think that that is very counter to peace. I think the thing that promotes peace is when we achieve a goal by celebrating somebody else, and that working together and accepting that there are differences. I've always said, you know, if two people are exactly the same, one of them is redundant. And so I want to promote with the children the idea that just because a child is different from you doesn't mean that they're either greater than or less than. They're different than. And that's the uniqueness. That's what we celebrate. And I think that that's very important in simply learning to get along in the world, is to have a very deep appreciation for each other, and realizing that when we work together, we can achieve together what nobody can alone. And I think that promotes peace.
Thank you. What do you feel about the future of Ukraine? Maybe you have some, as a person who we have been visiting Ukraine for a long time, who see all this. Maybe you have some feelings.
Or at least dreams.
Yes. Well, of course, I love Ukraine, and it has been very, it's been very hard on me to share the pain of the Ukrainian people. This is a very painful and a very fragile time in Ukraine's history. But I do believe that tough times and difficult times, whether it's for an individual or a family or a country, I believe that they can bring out the best in us, and they can develop us. And I believe that regardless of what is ahead politically, and I don't pretend to be a politician at all, but whatever is ahead for Ukraine, if they will learn as I try to teach the children, that their greatness comes from within, not as it's put over somebody, but as they serve one another and find the meaning of their soul, that it will strengthen Ukraine, and that Ukraine will become stronger. It will become even more compassionate, because I do think that tough times help us become compassionate as we think of our own needs and the needs of others. I think that it can be a very defining time for Ukraine, and of course I pray for its welfare. I have seen, well, at the concert where they gave me this honor, which was in Lviv, that particular day was a very hard day for the country, because the night before had been the attack on Odessa. And I saw the children as they sang Boże Walenki Jedyny. I saw the soul of the adults come forward, and it was a powerful moment. And I feel very passionately that Ukraine's future lies with its children. And so that's why I love to work with the children. And I saw them speak eloquently. You know, children don't have a political agenda, most of them. They want to grow up. They want to have opportunities. They need hope. They need somebody to believe in them. So they were able to comfort an entire city that was in grief, an entire audience that was in grief. The comfort came from the children speaking to that, and it was powerful. It was very powerful.
Connie, I have practical questions for you.
Yes.
Can you give us advice for Ukrainian people how we can use music as medicine in this situation which we have now?
Yes, of course. I believe that music is very therapeutic, as you've heard me say. I mean, the fact that I started in Romania with orphans to do music therapy, I wanted to heal their traumas. That's exactly what I wanted to do, was heal the trauma of what they had been through music. And you're in a similar situation. You have great national trauma and crisis right now. I think that there are several things. Number one, for any music that uses words, that has a text, I think it's very important to be discriminating and use music and listen to music that has a good message. Because you will find, if you go throughout history, you will find that music is at a vortex in culture. It reflects the values of a people, but it also then determines the values of the next generation. To a very large extent, we become what we listen to. So I would challenge the country, listen to good music. Listen to music that talks about who you want to become. And that's one of the reasons I do Boże Walenki Jedyny with the children. I do Boże Ukrainy Zbereży. I do Ukraina. You know, speaking of their devotion to their country, because I think it's a powerful message. I think it's very important. So I would certainly encourage that. I would definitely encourage music that does many things, but one of them is to quiet our psyche. Music can agitate, and music can calm down, and it can promote peace. And so I think being aware of that, because Ukraine is at a time where it needs to feed peace to its soul, and I think music can help you do that. So.
Connie, one more question, but it's not about society, more about our personal lives. I heard a very powerful message from you that we all are different, but we all are talented in our own ways. So how can we adults find, someone famous says that it's bad when fish trying to jump on the trees and bird trying to swim in the water. So how can we adults find our own ways?
Yes, that was Einstein that said that, you know. All children are talented, but if we spent our lives trying to get a fish to climb trees, we would end up feeling very stupid. I think one of the things that I see in Eastern Europe, not just Ukraine, it is in Ukraine, but I see it in Eastern Europe, is a mentality that says these children are talented or more talented, and these children aren't. I really believe that's very damaging to a society. I believe it's damaging psychologically. I believe it's very damaging educationally. I think that when we have that mentality, we cut ourselves off from some of our greatest national treasure, because these people may be talented in this way, but these people are also a national treasure that can show us many things that if we don't acknowledge their talent, as a society and as a culture, we will miss that. So I think that adults, when they approach children, when they approach school, when they approach teaching, when they approach learning, I think to not stratify is very important. Oh, well, you're so talented. Well, you're not talented. That's wrong. It's just absolutely not so. The question isn't, I always say to teachers, the question isn't, can the child learn? Children can learn. The question is, can we teach? We're the ones that fail the children when we do not know how to teach them in the way that they learn. So I think that adults understanding that and opening up that definition of talent to understand that it's all there. It's in the eyes of the beholder. I've had parents, I've taught music for years, and I've had parents come to me and they'll say, would you teach my child? They're very musically talented. And I have other parents come to me and say, would you teach my child? They're not very musical, but I want them to have it anyway. Side by side, the children are the same. The difference is in the perception of the parent. So I think that as adults, we close ourselves to a lot of opportunities when we stratify.
Yes, I know lots of people who making their lifestyle in the way they not was born for. I think so it's pretty sad.
It is. It's very sad. It's very sad. And one of the most amazing things that I get to do is I get the joy of seeing what happens on a child's face and in their heart when they've been told all their lives they're not talented, and they come and they discover that they are. It's like, oh, I'm talented. I thought I was stupid. I've had children tell me, but you don't understand, I'm stupid. And I want to go, who told you that? That's not so. You're not. I'll help you discover where you're smart. I'll help you discover your talent. And when they do, it changes them forever. And the smile on their face, many of them cry, the tears in their, it's the most rewarding experience of life. It really is. Yeah.
Connie, you look so much inspired. But still, I will ask you, why do you do all this? What is your deep motivation?
What is my deep motivation? I have a tremendous passion to help children that have either been told that they're not smart or by their circumstances in life feel pushed aside, to help them discover that inside they are great, and inside they are smart, and they are talented, and they can learn, and they can have a life of significance. And a lot of that is going to be learned as they help others. It's not in making life about me, it's making life about others. The joy in that, there's nothing like it. I was raised in a home that taught me that it was my responsibility to give back. And that when I come to the end of my life, if I can look back and think, I did everything I could to leave the world a better place than I found it. It's the greatest joy. So I try to do that.
Connie, do you know that people who can see light in others, the people who having this light inside them, I'm saying that you have a big light inside you, but maybe you have something to say to us, some message which we maybe didn't ask you, but you want to share with us.
I think I would say during this time of difficult days in Ukraine, dig deep within to find your values and understand that those who are great because of what you said. They see the talent in others. And so many times it's looking right here, not making it about us, but about making it about others. That helps us. It helps our perspective. And this is a challenging time for Ukraine. But it's not just challenging for Ukraine. As you look around the world right now, there are so many places with desperate needs. Desperate needs. Don't lose sight of that just because of the needs here. There are needs here, but there are needs all over the world. And as you look inside to magnify your values, don't look inside for yourself. Look inside for others.
Thank you.